Roku has what you need to make your college home away from home feel more like your own. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TV, or bring a Roku streaming stick to easily access all your favorite free and premium content like iHeartRadio. Stream your favorite playlist with the Roku Vibe Setting Smart Light strips to sync your music to millions of colors and make your dorm feel more like you. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TVs, streaming players, and smart lights. Head to Roku.com or your favorite retailer to deck out your dorm.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
It's over! Fly, Eagles, fly!
Celebrate the big win with the official licensed Super Bowl champions gear. Available now at NFLshop.com.
The Eagles win it! Super Bowl 59!
From jerseys to hats to must-have collectibles, we've got everything you need to rep your team with pride. Don't wait. These styles won't last. Shop now at NFLshop.com and gear up like a champion.
Ready to upgrade your entertainment experience? Vizio TVs make streaming easy with convenient access to all your favorite apps. Enjoy top hits from the iHeartRadio app or watch over 300 free live channels of news, sports, and more on Watch Free Plus. And now take free TV and movies on the go with Watch Free Plus in the Vizio mobile app. Available anytime, anywhere, for everyone. Download the Vizio mobile app now or visit vizio.com/iHeartRadio to learn more.
Mid-post, stop the pop jumper, rattles around, it wouldn't drop. The Wolves have the rebound. The Suns have missed their last 9 shots. 9 in a row they've missed. And against Durant, stops up top, off the Gobert screen. Now on the left side, hounded by Eubanks, pops on a 3 and strokes it. He's got another one. Anthony Edwards staring down Kevin Durant, slamming his chest with his fist. It's a 13-2 Wolves run.
VOX. The voice of Alan Horton, a longtime radio play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You'll hear Alan like you did last night, tonight at 7 o'clock KFAN as the Timberwolves head into the All-Star break after playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And said VOX joins us now. How have you been, Alan?
I've been good, Paul. How you been?
Quite well, thank you. You know how the segue goes, man. I mean, it's sometimes you'll have 4 or 5 games in a week. Football's a weekly deal, but there's a lot that goes into both of what we do. When it's over, there is always a certain degree of peace associated with finality. So I'm there right now. You're right in the middle of the belly of the beast with that NBA season, but you're going to get a little peace here with the All-Star break, right?
Yeah, after tonight, it'll be a full week before we're back on the road, and it's I think everybody's kind of looking forward to it. The NBA Cup this year was even more took more time away from other teams than in the past year, and so it really backed up the rest of the schedule. I mean, the Wolves played 2 games in 10 days, and they've basically been playing every other night with some back-to-backs mixed in there, 3 or 4 of those. And it just makes for an absolute grind. You're coming and going. Sometimes you don't know where you are, what room you're in, what city you're in. And so it's nice to get a little break for a week. But one more thing to do before you get there, and that's play the best team in the NBA tonight.
Well, especially when, like, you're in Cleveland on Sunday and you got a game on Monday. And when you get hit by that metaphorical 2x4, that was that 16-0 Cavs to start the game, then you come home, you get back in the wee hours, and, then you're playing Milwaukee without Giannis and Dame the next night. High-scoring game, very entertaining game to a certain extent. And then wheel right back against OKC. Yeah, that's definitely a grinder, and I completely appreciate how you handle things and the job you do. But now with last night, what'd you think of last night's game? I was between the 4 nations face-off, Canada and Sweden, which was super compelling, and your guys' game, listening to you and matching it up with the TV. The parts that I watched, which was a majority of it, I thought, despite no Randall, no Conley, no Giannis, no Dame, I thought it was a fun game. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, I think overall from an entertainment point of view, yeah. I mean, without those names that you mentioned, it was entertaining. I think it was pretty disappointing for Wolves fans, though. I mean, I think that losing to Cleveland is one thing. Milwaukee's been a mediocre team even when they've had Giannis and Dame this year. They came in just 4 games over 500. The Wolves were 6 games over 500. I thought the Wolves were the better team, and they let, it's letting this opponent kind of gain some confidence and getting guys like Kevin Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr. and all the juniors that they have on their team. They have like 4 of them. They got all comfortable, and then it's really hard in this league on a particular night when you let guys get comfortable and get in a rhythm and play with confidence. It's tough to break them of that. And the Wolves did come back from 16 down. They got the lead a couple of times, but they just couldn't close it out. I think partially because the Bucks got in such a good rhythm. Didn't matter who they had on the floor. They executed down the stretch, I think, with confidence, and that was enough to pull out the win.
So without Giannis, Bobby Portis is having a terrific season, but I mean he's undersized compared to Gobert. Brook Lopez plays more, all this, man, but plays more on the perimeter than inside. The game last night was tailor-made for Rudy to dominate, and mostly he did, right?
Yeah, he did pretty well. I think his plus-minus probably doesn't indicate that, but, it just, I would say the Wolves had the advantage in a lot of different areas, and they just kind of looked out of sync, and this is one of the things that we've noticed about this Wolves team throughout the year. They started the year winning 6 out of 9. Then they lose 7 out of 9. Then they win 6 out of 7. Then they lose 6 out of 9. They had won 13 of 19 heading into this last 2 games, and they've dropped the last 2. And they've been consistently inconsistent. And all of a sudden, when things are starting to go well, and you see the offense kind of flowing during the 3-game win streak, and then it kind of disappeared against Cleveland, and it wasn't really back last night. They only shot under 40%, under 30% from deep. That's not going to get it done. And so as quickly as things can look good, it could also go the other way, and it just looks out of sync, and it looks like Ant is trying to get his points, but it's coming at the cost of the rest of the offense. Or is it the other way, and it's because the rest of the guys haven't stepped up the last couple of games? Ant feels like he's got to carry the load. They've just kind of lost that rhythm that they were in for a pretty good stretch over the last couple of weeks until these last 2 games.
How about late in the game? It was in front of the Wolves bench, so to your left, as you call the games. When Brook Lopez took Rudy Gobert off the dribble, honestly, it looked like 2 battleships trying to turn in Lake Superior. I mean, it took forever to get around the corner for both of them, but that was a unique moment in the game last night, wasn't it?
It was, because the game was tied. I think that drive might still be going on right now. That's how long it took for Brooks to get from the 3-point line into the paint. But I thought, while he's not a natural driver, I thought he did a really good, smart thing. Is he was able to get close enough, and he kind of turned and launched himself into Rudy, and there's going to be contact there. And then he kind of, threw himself into Rudy and drew that foul. And that's one thing the Bucks did really well in clutch time last night. They got to the free throw line 8 times. And the Wolves have had their clutch time issues down the stretch. But one thing they haven't done well this year in those final 5 minutes with the game within 5 points, so 2 possessions or less, is draw free throws. And oftentimes they're settling for outside shots and not being as aggressive and getting to the free throw line. Look, it's tough to hit shots in those moments because defenses are keyed up just like the offense is, but you need to be able to draw some contact and sometimes get to the free throw line. And Ant would obviously be the guy to do that. And he's done that at a really high rate for the last 6 weeks now, getting about 9 free throw attempts per game. But oftentimes in those late game moments, he settles, I think, for some of those pull-up threes. And while he's hit those threes he's been one of the best in the league at hitting pull-up threes, but not late in games. Those haven't come for him yet. I feel confident they will. But you'd love to see the Wolves get to the free throw line and get some easy points that way, because that's something the Bucks did last night. It's the reason they probably won that game.
So Edwards has made the most 3-pointers of any player in the NBA this year. He went 4 of 17 last night, off what you said. The field goal, I mean, he couldn't get anything last night, almost no matter how close it was to the basket. I hate saying this because I'm not in the room and I don't have any steam on it, but it just looked like his legs were tired. Like he just couldn't elevate the way he has in the past. And if you go back through the last 3, Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Houston, he's shooting 34 of 86 from the field, his last 3. That's 39%. 40% for the month. The month isn't that old, but that flies in the face of like a normal percentage for Anthony Edwards field goal percentage that generally is a lot higher, right?
Yeah, it's up in about 46% range, somewhere in there. And I think what maybe we're seeing as to a reason why is that I think he's a little bit banged up. And that hip, I think probably we saw in Cleveland him kind of get off to a slow start.
Yeah.
He went 1 for 10 to start that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once he got into the rhythm of the game and he got his sweat going and kind of loosened up, you know how you just kind of loosen up a little bit, I think he felt better. But I still think that hip is bothering him. It's the reason why he's still on the injury report, at least heading into last night with that right hip soreness. You know, he does. That's the cost of going inside and tacking the rim and taking contact and falling to the floor. That hardwood is called hardwood for a reason. It's not soft, and these guys take an absolute beating. And unfortunately, Ant goes down hard a lot on those drives, and so that hip absorbs some of that. And you know, I think that's probably playing into his shot just being a little bit off because it's been so good this year.
I'm really glad you said that because he's been questionable, each game for a while, missed a game, and that absolutely plays into it. Thank you very much for sharing that part of it. I should have shared it. So just overall, does this feel like a good time for the break? You know, maybe get Julius Randle back certainly after the break, maybe shortly after the break. What we talked about with Anthony, Conley's missing games. And just to recalibrate through this 30 and 25, to recalibrate ain't a bad thing. Good time for the break?
Yeah, I think now that you've lost 2 in a row, I would have said earlier this week, like after the Portland win, I would say, hey, let's keep going because you'd won 3 in a row and 8 of 10, and this team was kind of coming together despite having some guys out. But now that you've lost 2 in a row and facing a huge uphill battle tonight because, there are 4 teams in the NBA PA that have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense, the 4 elite teams. 2 in the East, 2 in the West. It's Cleveland and Boston in the East. It's OKC and Memphis in the West. And the Wolves are 0-7 in those games. They have not been particularly close games, so they have struggled against the cream of the crop. And guess what? Not only do we see OKC tonight, we play them 2 times out of the next 3 games coming out of the All-Star break. So we're going to see a lot of the Thunder here 3 times in the next 4 games with the All-Star break in between. And I think it probably does come at the right time now. To get some of those guys healthy. I mean, Mike Conley, unfortunately, that right index finger, he was showing me the other day, it's tough for him to straighten that thing out. It's been jammed so badly. He got this. I mean, the guy was playing with a dislocated and sprained thumb and a dislocated and sprained right index finger. And yeah, he shoots with his left hand, but he still handles a lot with that right hand. He's basically ambidextrous. And so he's been battling through an awful lot. And I think the Wolves really miss him. Because I think when you see Joe Ingles come into the game the last couple of games now, I think he's played in 3 straight games, he kind of brings a calmness. He brings some serenity to the offense, and he's looking to facilitate rather than try to look for his scoring first, which I think Rob Dillingham does more of and has that mindset of scoring first rather than facilitating. And I think we've seen Joe Ingles come in and kind of calm the offense down, and that's when the Wolves have looked at their best. Over these last 3 games here.
I wonder if Holmgren plays tonight. He just came back over the weekend. Minnehaha Academy go crazy, and he played last night. And this is a back-to-back. I think he played last night.
Yeah, I think there was and I think he sat out the second of a back-to-back just recently too. So
okay.
you might be onto something there, either with him or without him. Yep. I mean, they still have the best defense in the NBA, and I was looking at the defensive ratings today. And the Wolves were a great defense last year, number 1 in the NBA. Oklahoma City is even better. They're about 2 points per 100 possessions better. This is the best defense in the league in 5 years since the Milwaukee Bucks did it 5 years ago. So they are on point. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander he's right up there. He's right up there, if not the favorite for the MVP. He's right in line behind Jokic or whoever else you want to choose. He's so consistent, and this Thunder team looks like an absolute juggernaut. And they're 44-9. They've won 7 in a row. When they have a hiccup, it's like going 3-3, which they did before the 7-game win streak. So they've really got things rolling, but it's an opportunity tonight to kind of get back on track. And, the Wolves played pretty well in Oklahoma City, save for that third quarter. They got blown out 43-23, turned the ball over a ton. And that's the biggest thing to look for tonight. When OKC dials it up, they have these stretches. I think kind of like what they did last night. I didn't get a chance to see the game. I know you guys were talking about it, the Miami game. They dialed it up in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, they lock down defensively. They turn you over. They get out in transition, and they just put together these incredible runs. So that's something the Wolves have to avoid here tonight.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, I watched it for 4 minutes, and I caught it when it flipped, when things turned around, because Bam Adebayo, they could not stop him. They could not get a hold of him last night. But that defense you're talking about, I can't remember what the number was in the fourth quarter. I don't think the Heat scored more than 10 points in the fourth quarter. So they were like, you know what? All right, we ain't going to jack around with this anymore. We're at home. We might win the NBA title. This can't happen. And they just went to swarming the Heat. And they eventually ran away and won by double digits. But with tonight, you'll hear Alan and the Wolves on the Fan at 7 o'clock. The game's on KFAN tonight. And tell me what you think of this. For the Timberwolves, who have been through some injuries, there obviously was a big trade and stuff and the superstar, is playing a little battered. If they have their eyes on the break before playing this game tonight, they're going to lose by 20 at home. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. You better come ready to play. This team, the one thing OKC does, they may not have Russell Westbrook on their team any longer, but they've adapted his mentality of just going 110% at all times. Nobody competes harder than that guy, even in his advanced stages of his career. But the last 2 years, they've been just a machine. They don't seem to care who the opponent is. They don't seem to care about the situation, if the break might be coming up, if they're in the beginning of a road trip, the end of a road trip. They come out and play at a really high level every night. And that's something that I really stood out last year about the Wolves team and their 56 wins. They came out with a consistent, really high level of play every night. And guess what? That's going to win you a lot of games. If you have a high level of play that you come with every single night, boy, that's a really good recipe for success. And OKC is doing it better than anybody this year.
So Jalen Clark has second year UCLA has played 13 or 14 games now. Offensively, that's going to be a work in progress. Might even need an off season to get that where it needs to be. Defensively, obviously some bulldog to him. That offensive rebound he got last night in and amongst the trees to the right of where you are, opposite the Bucks bench.
Yeah.
That was really cool. He missed the shot, but that was a positive moment. As the steps go. But with all due respect, I think he needs the break too, to just decompress. This has been a lot out of nowhere for the young man.
Yeah.
And after his first one, I can't remember if it was Malik Monk or somebody told Anthony Edwards, I'm glad you got that guy off me. Holy cow, that Bulldog was unbelievable. But I don't want to say tired, but I mean, maybe he's a little overwhelmed right now,
Yeah, and he missed a lot of easy shots last night. There were 3 or 4 shots at the rim that he's done a good job of converting and limited opportunities at the offensive end. But last night he could not finish inside. And you mentioned that offensive rebound. Yeah, he had a great look at the putback and just couldn't hit. But he's really been a surprise. I mean, he was thrown out there. I think the Phoenix game was, maybe we look back and call that the Jalen Clark game because he's now played in like 9 straight games. Yeah. And he's not just getting, 8-9 minutes. He's getting 19, 20 minutes, PA. He's staying out there because of his defense. And when he was matching up against Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland on Monday night, most guys, Donovan Mitchell is not the tallest guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3", but he's stocky. He's thick. And Jalen Clark was matched up against him. They looked very similar. I mean, Jalen is so built out. He's so strong. He's got a good low base. And he's just a pit bull defensively. You said the word there. You want to use bulldog, pit bull. He just gets after it. And that's why he's already earned the trust of Chris Finch. And he may need a little break. It would probably be a perfect time for him to catch his breath, kind of work on things, relax a little bit, and then get back to it in the second half, because I don't think he's coming out of the rotation. Even if guys come back, he's played that well.
It was Durant, not Malik Monk. Thank you very much for that. So with Randall, I mean, and any guess or any idea when you think he'll come back?
I think we're getting an update after the All-Star break, and you got to hope it's pretty quick. I think it's going to be sooner than Dante DiVincenzo, but no real word on when that might be. The update only provides the update, not that he's coming back at that date. So hopefully it's sooner rather than later, so the Wolves can, you run out of time after the All-Star break. You always kind of say it's the halfway point, but it's way past that, and there's not a ton of games left. And the Wolves would love to get one last crack at getting everybody together, getting on the same page and putting a run together.
Alan, greatly appreciate the time. Call a good one tonight. I know you will. And look forward to seeing you at a game soon, okay?
Absolutely, PA. Appreciate it.
Yep, see you, bud. Alan Horton, at Wolves Radio via Twitter, at Wolves Radio via the X Machine. Please follow him as 9 to Noon does. That was a lot of fun. Wolves and the OKC with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jalen Williams, and just a very, very gifted team at Target Center this evening. That should be a lot of fun. And if you can't go, listen to it on KFAN at 7 o'clock. Kevin Gorg around the corner on the Four Nations Face-Off, which was awesome last night between Canada and Sweden. We'll mix it up with a KG around the corner, but first, Max has this.
The Fan wants to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword BILLS at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword BILLS. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
Wednesday is sponsored by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. They're here all season long. Listen every Wednesday through March for your chance to win tickets.
Hey, Spotty, how about the Canada-Sweden game last night? Holy cow.
That was fun. Yeah, good for the National Hockey League for having the thought process to do away with that all-star game and that pretend hockey and put something out there that we can be proud of. It was incredible. The atmosphere at the Bell Center, which we just got a taste of on the Wild side of things a couple weeks ago in Flowers' last game just outside his hometown. It really was tremendous sports entertainment, which is what you hope for. And, you know, the NHL, like horse racing PA, we're always fighting for that landscape. And now we're after the Super Bowl, and football at least is in its quiet time for a little while here. And to be on that stage on national TV, they're going to get a kick at the can on ABC this weekend and the championship game a week from tomorrow. So it's exciting.
Now, Russo Radio gets more wrapped up in the minuscule, narrow casting environment that can be social media or texting. And when I say minuscule, I mean just like a few responses or maybe one will kind of trigger something with him. And here's what I'm getting at is he said earlier on the radio show that, you know, there are hockey fans who think like this is stupid, it's made up, the intensity's not going to be there like the Olympics, stuff like that. As I said to him earlier, when you have Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid on a rush and Nathan McKinnon trailing the play, I mean, I don't care if they're going 5%. That's the bomb. How can any hockey fan not like this?
Well, you put them in front of 21,000 fans. You put them on this stage. And trust me when I say this. Hockey in Canada is like NFL football is here in the States. So when I say it's on this type of stage, I mean, if you're from Canada and you're watching that team play, it means something. And I think people are going to understand as this tournament progresses how much it means to these players. And if you saw some of the interviews in and out of that game last night, specifically Nathan McKinnon being interviewed on TNT before the game, that's as intense as I've seen that guy. Like, this matters more than we can put into words. When they're putting on their country's colors, and from talking to the Wild players here in the month leading up to this is a really, really big deal. It's a big honor. And this doesn't feel like exhibition hockey because these guys care about it. And they care about it as much as any other game they play, and it showed last night.
And see, with McDavid especially, McKinnon too, to a certain, no, all of them. Okay, all the highest of high enders. Early in the game, tell me if you noticed this, you know more about it than me and have a trained eye, that it's not all-star game showing off, but there was some showing off with the no-look passes, the no-look backhanders, just, you know, across the in front of the mouth of the goal, stuff like that. But then when it came time to win, I mean, all of them settled in. The checks were heavier. The refs got out of the way more. The work in front of the net was more that of tenacity. But, there was a little showing off early in that game. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the excitement level for these guys to play with other superstars. They have great players on their teams. And when you go watch the Oilers play or you go watch the Avalanche play, you're going to see some high-level talent, best in the world. But when you get the absolute very best, and you look at a power play that features Makar quarterbacking McDavid, Crosby, and McKinnon down low, that's got some video game to it. And as excited as we get as fans, I think that might have carried over to what you're talking about, where the players almost want to put a show on. But as that game progressed, and I'll give you the first 10 minutes, had a little show to it, the rink shrunk, and it got real physical, and it got real intense. And if you watch that second and third period, I think that's part of the reason Sweden was able to kind of get back in the hockey game, is they were able to play position, take away space, get in their face, get physical. I loved what I saw. And then, again, 3-on-3 took it back to that video game where both teams had odd number rushes and goalies were getting peppered. And it was bottom line from start to finish as entertaining a hockey game as you ever want to see.
And when you say, hockey in Canada is like, let's say, soccer or football in Europe, or soccer in the Premier League in England, NFL here. It wasn't that evident. Not only the evening you were at Bell Center with Marc-Andre Fleury, who, granted, he's from the area, but he never played for the Canadiens. But Mario Lemieux last night, man, he spent his entire career in North America with the Penguins, yet it was super loud. I mean, they were surprised when he came out, and they really gave him a warm ovation.
They responded to the greatness that is one of their own favorite sons. And I think you look at the attention that Crosby got with the chants throughout the third period, overtime, and into the post-game festivities. Crosby, again, has only played in Pittsburgh and only tormented the hometown team of the Montreal Canadiens, but there is a love for their own. Crosby, 26 in a row now, representing Canada. Lemieux back in the day with the Canada Cup, the memories that those hockey fans have. He is one of their favorite sons, and it showed last night. I just think it had a little bit of everything, and the way it played out with, you're mentioning the start of the game, and you're mentioning Lemieux, the tie he has to Crosby, where when he was a rookie, he lived with Lemieux in Pittsburgh. Mario helped him figure out what it was like to be a pro on and off the ice, to have all that attention and to handle it the right way, and Crosby has done that. And then to see the reception that Crosby got, and they're chanting his name. They can't even get the 3 stars announced because of the loud chants that we saw last night for Crosby. Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, with those interviews between periods, the only thing I missed was Eriksson Ek or Brodin or anybody saying, "All right, thank you, Gorgie."
I always love that one.
About the only thing I missed last night. From TNT, by the way, does a good job with hockey.
They do, and they're trying to, again, hockey is working their way to getting a little more mainstream, and they have the right crew. With Biz and with Gretzky specifically, there is a real fun aspect to what they do, to how they present it, the conversations they have. And when you've got Wayne Gretzky sitting in your studio, to me, that tells you everything you need to know. Like, you've got the guy that you want to hear from, and he can relay what it's like to play on that stage. He's done that. He's been there. And then Biz, with all the comedy he brings, it's a nice mix. I like the way they do it. And as much as I miss the heir apparent in my ear, which I get every single Wild game throughout the entire season. I love my Panther, and he's down in Costa Rica with those fancy selfies. It's cool to see how they present it on TNT, and we're all pulling for hockey to use this as a platform to bring more people to the game.
And help me with the studio show, okay? And I watch that a fair amount. It's the guy, as we're watching TV, he's the dark-haired guy with the really tough-looking face who sits all the way to the left.
That's Biz Nasty. That's the guy that does spitting chicklets. That's the guy that brings the average rube into the game of hockey, and he is really fun. really fun, PA.
Yeah, he's trying to bring the average woman 18 to 34 into the game, too, with the way he buttons his shirts down to his navel or unbuttons it. So, yeah, but he's very smart, man. He's really, really cool. All right, a couple more here for KG. So, off what you know about and have seen with Canada and what you know about the Americans who play the Finns tonight, just quick twitch. Which team do you think is better and why, Canada or USA?
Well, they're co-favored in the betting markets for a reason. They're really hard to separate. And I'll put it to you this way. Canada has the best roster up front with their forwards. They can't be touched by anybody, and that includes the red, white, and blue. You've got Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon on your second line. You've got a guy in Braden Point centering your third line that's a 40-goal scorer for Tampa every single year. And, oh, by the way, you've got the best defenseman on the planet, Cale Makar, anchoring your defense. They're going to be tough. But their goaltending to me is a major question mark. Bennington is good. He's not great. And what the Americans have going for them is they've got a little more depth of talent both on the blue line and up front. They don't have the high-end power, but when you've got a guy like JT Miller anchoring your third line with Matt Boldy, that's pretty damn good. You've got Austin Matthews as your second line center, might be the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League. And again, I think people are going to fall in love with Kyle Connor and Jack Eichel. These are two players that don't get talked about enough. We all know about Matthew Tkachuk, the other guy on that top line. Eichel and Connor are tremendous. And the advantage that the U.S. has against Canada, I don't care if it's Hellebuck or our guy Ottinger, they are dramatically better than Bennington or Aiden Hill. I don't care about Aiden Hill's Stanley Cup. I don't care about Bennington's Stanley Cup. Hellebuck and Ottinger are better goaltenders, and that's the one area where the U.S. has an edge against Canada.
Well, lastly, speaking of goaltenders, because I know you're fond of the guy, I mean, if Boss has ever made a better save than the sliding save on Devon Taves, super late in that thing, if he's ever made a better save, I need to hear what it was.
Well, and to play as well as he did in that environment. I was texting with our mutual buddy, Wes Walls, last night during the game, and this is a huge opportunity for Gustafsson. I think Eck and Brodin are established star players enough already where this is only going to feed into what we know about them and what they already know about themselves. But for Gustafsson, this is uncharted waters, man. This is a giant stage. And when you look at this event and what it can mean to his career, think about it from a Wild perspective. If and when he's able to anchor a cup run for this team, a team that advances in the playoffs with him in goal, if he can survive in that environment like he did last night and thrive, it's going to be huge for the Minnesota Wild moving forward. And I think watching that game last night from a Wild perspective, it reminded me how much I like the core of this hockey team and how close they really are. And again, tonight we get to watch Faber and Boldy, another huge game. They're going to be playing big minutes. And I thought the bar was set pretty high from a Wild perspective by those three guys last night on Sweden.
Damn. So USA's minus 360 tonight. Does that, I mean, for the Finns, like, is their best player the skeletal remains of Teemu Solani?
They've got a good, I tell you what, they've got a good top couple lines. Barkov centers their top line with Mikko Rantanen. Their second line features Aho, Rupe Hintz, and Patrick Laine. It drops off after that. We've got our guy Granny on the third line, our old guy Howla on the fourth line. Their defensemen are, I would say, a cut below what Canada, the U.S., and Sweden put out there. But they've got UC Saros, the Nashville goalie, in net, and he's capable of rising up. They're going to have to do it with those top two lines. And I just think if you look at this big picture, Finland's up against it on paper. They really, truly are. And this is a game, if you're the U.S., you have to win it in regulation. You know, you've got to get the 3 points for a regulation win. You're going to get a chance to play all three teams. If you can get 3 points out of this first game, you've got a leg up on both Canada and Sweden. And when it's all said and done, the two teams that earn the most points get to play in that championship game Thursday the 20th. And yes, on paper, it looks like the U.S. and Canada, you can't afford to stumble tonight. So it's a huge game for the U.S.
Sounds like USA minus 1.5, minus 150 if they got to get that thing in regulation, right?
Absolutely. That would be the play tonight for sure, because they're going to want to get this thing done quickly, get a 2 or 3 goal lead, and really enforce their will. They've got the better depth. They're going to play a physical brand of hockey. You're going to see I think the Kachuk brothers are really going to have fun during this tournament, antagonizing their opponents. Both those guys, Matthew and Brady, are so good at what they do. You're going to try to get under the skin of the Mikko Rantanens and the Patrick Laine's of the world and make life difficult for them. And I think the U.S. and their physical play, along with the skill they certainly have, is going to give them the edge tonight. I'm looking for a 4-1, 5-2 type of game for the red, white, and blue.
The best. Thank you, KG. Enjoy the downtime. See you soon.
Thanks, PA.
Kevin Gorg with FanDuel. He's side rink analyst for FanDuel Sports, covering the Minnesota Wild. And follow him on Twitter as 9 to noon does, please, at Gorgomatic21. At Gorgomatic21. Back in a flash.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
Max.
Hey, what's up, PA?
Your girl, Rhonda Moss, who you know, right?
Oh, yeah. We worked together for just me and her pretty much intimately for over a year.
Okay. It's Jewel Erickson-Eck. Okay, I've heard her bots that thing a couple of times now. But next time you text with her, because you guys text and talk more than people know, can you... The Timberwolves lost to a shorthanded Bucks team last night. Girl, we were shorthanded too. Okay? So, Giannis and Dame, Conley and Randall may not be Giannis and Dame. We were shorthanded too. Okay, so...
Yeah, she's been a little sassy about our Wolves this week. What did she say the other day? The Wolves couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Right.
Damn, Rhonda, just say that we lost.
It's against the Cavs. She's right. We couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, but it just increasingly keeps getting worse when we're catching strays.
I know. The next one's just going to be, I'm Rhonda Moss. Bleep the Timberwolves.
It's going to be, the Timberwolves fell out of a boat in the ocean and didn't hit water. That's how cold they were. I'm Dan Patrick. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for the last 3 days.
Of course. Thank you.
I came in kitty cap wondering if things would be low-key mid, but leave genuinely appreciating your God-given riz. And that's for real. That boy's fire. That's a fire. So thanks for living rent-free in the minds of others, including Billy Baitcaster and Jim Bob Productions. Ain't trying to be emo up in here, but working with you smacks. See you soon. Bet?
Bet it up, PA.
Bet.
100.
Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
It's over! Fly, Eagles, fly!
Celebrate the big win with the official licensed Super Bowl champions gear. Available now at NFLShop.com.
The Eagles win it! Super Bowl 59!
From jerseys to hats to must-have collectibles, we've got everything you need to rep your team with pride. Don't wait. These styles won't last. Shop now at NFLShop.com and gear up like a champion.
Ready to upgrade your entertainment experience? Vizio TVs make streaming easy with convenient access to all your favorite apps. Enjoy top hits from the iHeartRadio app or watch over 300 free live channels of news, sports, and more on Watch Free Plus. And now, take free TV and movies on the go with Watch Free Plus in the Vizio mobile app. Available anytime, anywhere, for everyone. Download the Vizio mobile app now or visit Vizio.com/iHeartRadio to learn more.